All right. Hello, my name is Darren. I'm a dad. I'm an airline pilot. I'm a husband of a scientist. I just swapped to a new computer, so I have no idea if this is even working right now. I'm going to my computer, my YouTube page on this, and I see myself, and I can hear myself. And I can. Right? That's an old live. No, that's me. Hello, my name is Darren. I'm a dad. I'm an airline pilot, husband of a scientist. This is a Monday Night Live. I am not a professional streamer. I do the best I can. Adele, good evening, sir. Working on my stand-up fun video this week. It should be up this week. Thank you very much for your help, and it was great meeting you. So I am going live from a new computer because my old laptop, if you watched my previous lives, it's never synced up with my lips and my audio. I think it's a computer problem. This will tell me for sure, or I have an encoding issue. So we'll have to wait and see. Had a great trip to Australia. Good evening, Paul, AZ, Tyler, Eric, and Zachary. Hey, dude, Zachary, knuckles to you. Congratulations, you're now a pilot. Welcome to the club. My trip to Australia was interesting. There might be a video about it. We'll have to see. I got super lucky. So those of you who don't follow all my social media accounts, I don't blame you if you don't. I went to Australia last week for 24 hours, and people were like, "Why are you going to Australia for just 24 hours? That's kind of stupid." It's my thing. I go to a country for 24 hours just to explore and see things, and I'm glad I left when I did. The flight I came back on was the last flight to leave for 2 days. The next day's flight, the inbound flight, diverted to Brisbane and never made it to Sydney, so they canceled the return. The next day, they had some other issue. It didn't leave. It finally left Monday in Australia, which was yesterday in the United States. If I had waited and spent 2 nights in Australia, I would have been getting home late last night. It'd be super late last night or this morning. So got lucky. Hey, Jahan. Hope you're having a good night. Pass PPL written. I'm set for my first solo tomorrow. Mr. Campbell, first, congrats on passing the written. And tomorrow on your solo, tonight, I want you to have a good night's rest. And I want you to really know how to do a go around. Just know how to do a go around. And like, say, yeah, Darren, I go, no, know how to do a go around. Because like, if you're coming in tomorrow for landing and it seems a little fishy, know how to get out of there and do it and come back again. And just take your time. When you're in a plane by yourself for the first time, you think you'll be nervous, but you'll be full of endorphins at the same time. Enjoy the moment, but just slow everything down. Don't be in a rush to do anything. If you're in a towered field, the tower will absolutely know you're doing a solo. If you're in an untowered field, the other pilots might not have any idea that you're soloing, and they might not even care. So again, slow everything down and take your time and have fun. Missed out on a Spain-Portugal power outage. Wow, yeah. I did want to go to Abu Dhabi. It didn't work out for me, though. Hey, from New York. And Mr. Dames, good evening. Are there stuff in the PPL that you could overstudy? Yes, Landon. There are lots of things in the PPL you could overstudy. Being a pilot isn't all about memorizing everything. Some things you have to memorize, absolutely. But other things you just need to be familiar with. Be familiar with. So, and how to find the information. Very classic space age trip. Yes. Getting to meet my flight instructor hopefully sometime this week, and I can start working my PPL. Awesome, Jay. When should the new videos be released for Sound and Fun? Mike, this week. I am actually editing a video today. I am trying to be a little bit ambitious, and I'm trying to actually edit 2 videos this week. Let's see if I can get 2 of them out this week. Because I'm behind. I'm behind on where I want to be in my production statuses. So I'm trying to get out 2. We'll see if I can do 2. There might be either 2 on Thursday, or 1 Wednesday, 1 Thursday, or 1 Thursday, 1 Friday. I am on reserve starting tomorrow. I probably won't be used, though. Did Auckland over a long weekend holiday just for fun and loyalty points? See, again, points is nice. My backup plan was actually to go from Sydney to Melbourne to Dallas on Qantas via Z. Doing very well, Mr. Hey, Mr. Taylor, how have you been, man? How's your flying going? How's reserve life treating you? Does ATC English include medical emergencies? Yes, and it's very basic stuff, right? We don't say we have a person in the back not breathing very well. We might declare an emergency. No, we need medical attention. We're declaring an emergency. We are requesting the aircraft be met with emergency vehicles, including an ambulance or a paramedics. Like, actually, there's a better word. Ambulance is a U.S. term. There's a better term for ambulance that I can't think of off the top of my head. When was my last go around? Well, Josh, depends how you ask that question. The last go around I did was like 3 weeks ago in the sim. The last go around in the actual airplane, pretty sure it was in Charlotte on the Airbus, like 2 or 3 years ago. Hey, Alex, how do you work on your confidence to be able to teach, working on commercial, and soon CFI? So, Otto, for me, I went to school to be a teacher. I went to college to be a teacher. So I like helping others, but I have a speech impediment and I hate public speaking. So I had to develop a fake speaking voice. How I am speaking to you right now is not how I normally talk. It is a fake voice. So I make a fake persona to be able to project my voice and have just kind of machismo, not machismo, but it's more of a confident uh, stature than I have in real life. And that helps me teach. Again, and it's a lot of preparation as well. But everyone teaches differently. Everyone has a different teaching style. You've had many teachers in your life, and they all probably taught a little differently. So you need to figure out what works best for you and what works best for the students that you will one day have. Um, and it's some of it's trial and error. So when I first started being a CFI, I would teach a lesson on day one, and day two, I'd be like, "All right, how did yesterday go?" And I get feedback from them, and what worked, what worked and what didn't work. And not everything worked, by the way. I was not a great CFI in the beginning. And your channel has been a big influence on really getting to the first step. Mr. Blaze, thank you very much. And I'm very sincere in that. I appreciate every single one of you who watch my videos and comment on my videos and subscribe to my videos. It does mean a lot to me. Thank you very much. You guys are the reason I do these videos. Again, no disrespect to people that sell stuff and have endorsements and all that stuff. I'm just here for you guys. So I'm never going to be endorsing anything or selling anything. You will see commercials from YouTube, and that's it. How hard is it to transition from flying the Airbus in the FO with your right hand to the captain seat with your left hand? So I haven't been a captain on the Airbus, but I did I was a captain on previous aircraft. So I was a captain previously on the CRJ 700 and the Embraer 175. It is a difference, right? By the time I was a captain for the first time, I had been flying in the right seat for over 8 years. So I made a joke that as a first officer, my right hand could fly, my left hand knew bupkis. So I'm like, hey, it's time for you to shine. The transition was easier than you think it is. Because by the time you're a captain, you've been flying a long time. You have experience. So it's just transitioning hands. And for those of you that don't know, when pilots fly, big planes, small planes, it's with one hand. So first officers, you fly with one hand on the yoke, one hand on thrust levers. For captains, it's the opposite. One hand on yoke, one hand on thrust levers. At any point from the initial flight training to now, have you ever been afraid in the cockpit? Mr. Neal, not afraid, but stressed. And there's a huge difference between stress and being afraid. I've been stressed before with medical emergencies, mechanical emergencies, weather, but never afraid. It's a difference. You have to trust your airplane, trust your crew, trust the mechanics, and trust your skills and your knowledge. You trust all those, that pushes fear out the window. So it's just stress, and stress is normal. Hey, Mr. Herrick. It's been a while for you, but any tips on handling and learning curve at the start of flight training? Feel like a 90-degree angle for me. 8 flight hours, overwhelmed is an understatement. Mr. Herrick, it is normal to feel overwhelmed. And it's a giant learning curve. And it's normal to feel like, hey. No, it's normal. It's bits. It's bits. So every day in an ideal training environment, you're learning, it is kind of fire hose training because you're taking in so much information at once, but every day should get a little easier and a little easier. And I mean a little easier. I'm not saying day one, you're trying to do steep turns, and day two, you've mastered steep turns. No, day one, you learn how to use this dang right rudder on takeoff properly. And maybe by day 2 or 3, you're doing it without thinking about it. We can all get in our, those of you that drive, we can all get in our cars, get in, put the seatbelt on, put it in gear, and drive without thinking about what we're doing. But when you first started driving, it wasn't that way. it's a building process. It's a learning process, and some people get it quickly. Some people, like myself, takes time. This takes time. Actually, reserve life has been great so far. Believe it or not, I've been bidding for open time trips and getting them on my reserve days. Avoid sitting at the airport all day. That is awesome. It's a great timing for you, Mr. Taylor. Also, I'm gonna pick up a lot of open time trips from days off. Keep trying to keep busy. Again, pick up open time. It's a win-win. You're getting your hours in, and you're getting more coin in your pocket, right? I think you're. Oh, what is? Someone's gonna tell me, but Envoy starting pay pilots. I have no idea what starting pay is. It can't be $93 an hour. It's not $93 an hour. If it's not $93 an hour. You make 90 some odd dollars an hour, Mr. Taylor. Wow. You make more than double I ever made as a first officer. That changes things, right? You pick up a 4-hour trip, that's $300 in your pocket. Wow. That's good money. Darren, did you ever accidentally get into the FO seat when you were first promoted? Never. To the gentleman doing his first solo tomorrow, and I'm ATC, please call us if you need. Just let us know you're a student pilot for the first solo. You'll get our nice voice. Mr. Derek, thank you very much. I would assume at a towered field, I did my first solo at a non-towered field. I would assume at a towered field, I see if I would call the tower and say, hey, I'm sending my student. This is his tail number. Da 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 da. But thank you very much, Mr. Derek. Did you use your EFB to run the TO performance numbers for your prelim load sheet or strictly use performance calculations from dispatch through ACARS? On our EFB, we don't have any takeoff performance numbers ever. So how it normally works on a normal flight, we get our preliminary takeoff performance data from the dispatcher based on what they think we're going to weigh and the current conditions outside at the airfield. And we get various permutations. We get if, on a normal flight, we never take off max thrust, right? But let's say we're going to Incheon, and we're taking up all the fuel we can and all the cargo we're taking off at max ramp weight. Then we get the best performance numbers we can possibly have. And if anything changes, we have to call the dispatcher. But at no point, we have no apps for takeoff on our iPad, period, point blank. Now, if we are in some remote airport and there's no internet connectivity and there's no ACARS and there's no way of contacting dispatch, yes, there is a way in our iPads. We have these charts, performance charts we can go to for takeoff numbers. But that'd be an extreme situation, which I don't ever want to be in. And I got accepted into United Aviation Academy last Friday. See you in the skies. Mr. Codes, dude, high fives. Okay, I'll be talking about the cadet programs pretty broadly, to be honest. I had planned on making a detailed video of every single cadet program, but then I ran into a brick wall quickly because the term cadet program has been really abused. What is a cadet program? It depends on who you're talking to and what airline you're talking to. But congratulations on that. Again, my video will be up on Thursday, maybe even Wednesday. 1 second. Hey, Mr. Batcha. Just watching your Christmas Day number 2 engine failure video. Hopefully it was a very rare occurrence. Yes, Mr. Batcha. I've had one engine failure my entire career in 17 years. I've known many pilots who have never had an engine failure over 30 years. How much do airline pilots hate crew scheduling? Don't really hate them. They have a job. I don't like crew schedulers that don't know their job. And it happens that they try to tell me something. I'm like, that's not correct. And it's not, they're not doing it maliciously. They're doing it because they don't know. Do you use a checklist for the exterior walk around? If not, why not? There are checklists for everything else. There's not a checklist for everything. We don't have a checklist for the exterior walk around or the interior walk around. We have a flow. We have a flow of what we should be looking for, but it's not a checklist. $93 an hour. I'm loving it here. That's crazy, Mr. Taylor. Again, you pick up a 5-hour turn, a nice turn to California or to Florida. That's $500. Easy money. Good evening. Hey, Mr. Shockley. Had to reschedule my medical flight test for Monday after mechanical issues a couple weeks ago. Fingers crossed it goes my way. Feeling confident. Mr. Shockley, you should be fine. Have a nice breakfast. Bring a bottle of water to help cool your nerves and cool your blood pressure if you have problems like me. And then what's your number one bit of advice for someone at seniority-based airline? Bit of advice if you're at seniority-based airline, quality of life. Don't chase the upgrade. Don't chase the big plane. Quality of life. Keep your marriage. What was your most recent mechanical in-flight emergency, and how did you guys manage it? My most recent in-flight mechanical emergency. It was the landing gear issue in Cabo San Lucas on the Airbus. Took off out of Cabo, nose gear wouldn't come up, wouldn't retract. We ran the ECAM on the Airbus. It wouldn't retract. We just did one big box pattern. We took off, said, all right, checklist, declared an emergency. Did not want to burn holes in the sky, trying to get below max landing weight. The runway there was more than it was like double the length we needed for an overweight landing. The captain said I could keep flying it. We came in, and it was heavy. I've only landed overweight one time in my entire career in the actual airplane. Even in the Airbus, it was heavy. But landed, did not use auto brakes, used max thrust reverse all the way down to 80 knots, and then didn't apply brake pedals pressure. Why? To not overheat the brakes. And the plane was done. Hey, virtual pilot. Do you think it's possible to do an instrument CFI with 2 little ones at home with a home stay wife? Yes. SCP-35. I think it's very possible. Instrument through CFI. It takes planning and communication with your wife. Especially since you already have a private. I would do as much as the self-study as you can. So get some good King videos or a good home study course. I would do those, and I would get your written out of the way before actually starting at a flight school. That way your knowledge is built up, so that I would not go into this having done no prep work and no written work, and to show up expecting to learn as you go. Me personally, I would do my own instrument course at home, and then sign up for the CFI, and then do it again. That way it's already in your head a little bit, reinforced, and keep going. Hey, Darren, we bet the LPA Expo this year. I hope to be. Again, all the events, it depends on when it is and if I can bid off for my schedule. What was the longest flight you piloted on a regional jet? Did they ever really get used to their max range? Yeah, I did Dallas to Montreal, Canada. I have no idea how many nautical miles that is, but it's over a 5-hour flight on the return. And we were often weight restricted on the return flight. What do you think who do you think had it better? Pilots like you that started with 250 hours and had super low pay for a long time, or more recent pilots that needed 1,500 hours to start but had much higher pay? Brian, good question. So for those of you that don't know, I got hired by my first airline in 2007, a long time ago. I got hired with 500 hours or 540 hours total time. 540 total time. But I made $24 an hour. Nowadays, again, Mr. Taylor is making $93 an hour, making 4 times my pay almost, right? But he had to spend 3 years getting all his time in, probably, because Mr. Taylor and I have been talking for a while. Our Taylor, he's half my age, but we've talked so long, I call him Mr. Taylor. So it's a double-edged sword. Would you want to get hired with low time but very low pay, or high time and high pay? I got in the industry earlier, but I suffered from very low pay for a long time. As a crew chief, it's always funny watching pilots do walkarounds. I bet it is. And again, I do a walkaround not as though I'm going to buy the airplane, because every airplane has a dent and ding and bug guts on it, right? And every dent and ding on the airplane is documented. But I do the walkaround as though, would I put my family on this airplane? And can I honestly take this plane off the ground in its current condition without having to explain anything to the FAA? If I can say yes to both of those, we go. Darren, I'm part of the cadet program at a cadet academy, and be glad to provide more information if it helps your upcoming video. Hey, Mr. Patel, thank you very much. I have lots of information on it. The problem is the AA cadet program is different than the Envoy cadet program. It's different than the Delta Propel program. It's different than the Endeavor program. It's different than the SkyWest program. It's different than the Republic program. It's different than the Piedmont program. It's different than the Frontier program. It's different than the Southwest 225 program, and so on. Some of the cadet programs you can enter having no experience. Some you can enter you must have a PPL. Some you have to have a CFI. So it'd be too difficult to make a video about all those programs. So I make It's a good video, in my opinion. It's a discussion about cadet programs overall and the benefits of having them. By saying my contract and work rules to see how to maximize pay and minimize working. Still new to this stuff, but it's been fun. It is very fun. Uh, I think you guys still have line bidding there. If you have line bidding still at Envoy, you can make some money by bidding conflicts. You're very welcome, GTX or GT40 4x4. Why is the A pilot contract so bad? I've heard. I don't think it's bad. I'm happy here, and I don't. And you will, no matter what you look at, there are pluses and negatives to every pilot contract. There is not a single pilot contract out there that is golden. I have friends at Delta Airlines. They are jealous of stuff I can do here that they can't do there. This, for example, their commuter policy is way more strict and can impact your life more than our commuter policy does. What is your preference to activate the approach mode in the MCDU below 10,000 or closer to at 20 miles an hour? 20 miles out. I can't find a solid criteria. So, Mr. Sardo, I'm assuming you're on the Airbus. And when I was on the Airbus, for me, it was when I'm getting vectors. So if I'm on vectors for the approach mode right away. Vectors, approach mode. Always. If I'm at a heading, approach mode. Once I am off a star, approach mode. PPR check ride in 2 weeks. Any tips, Mr. Litchin? Yeah. Between now and then, every single night, and Darren, you say this overkill, but it's not. Go through your pilot operating handbook and go through the ACS and understand what is expected of you on the check ride. Anything you don't understand, ask your CFI. You will be walking through 7-Eleven, pouring a Slurpee, and think of a question. Stop pouring a Slurpee, make a note, or text your CFI. I don't care how dumb the question you might think is. You paid the CFI, you pay this flight school a lot of money. It's better to ask a question now than to say, it's not that big of a deal. I'll be fine. And then go to check ride day, and that question causes you to get a disapproval notice. Right? Ask every question and understand on your check ride, you will make mistakes. You will make mistakes you have never, ever made before. And it's fine. I have never had a perfect check ride. I've had really good check rides. I've had amazing check rides. And I've had check rides that have been like, yeah, so that was a thing. It's about being proficient, not about being perfect. I have never had a perfect check ride. I have flown with 30-year pilots, airline pilots, who have never had a perfect check ride. We're all really good pilots, but we're human. Yes, it took about 3 years to get my time for the airline. Just FYI, everyone knows he doesn't have to call Miss Taylor. Yeah, I'll call you Miss Taylor anyway. Mr. Lennon-Schmidt, off the specific planes you've flown in your career, do any of them stand out as having a special personality? Like Hair Queen, doesn't like short cruise, ugly but dependable. Yeah, well, it's the Embraer 145, the Barbie jet, right? I love the Embraer 145. People give it crap because it's cramped inside. You have to kind of lean over when you walk. If you're over like 5'11", you can't walk down the aisle correctly. Stand up anyway, but it's very comfortable. It's also known as a WSCOD, which is a bad name, but it's the whistling S can of death. But it's ironic because no one's ever died on a 145, except for the one that Russia blew up. But it's a very safe plane. It's my favorite type rating of all time. I love the 145. It's dependable, has 2 Rolls-Royce engines on the back, has 4 generators on board. 4 generators. Just need one. Has 4 generators. Only needs one. It's a very stable plane. It's a very fun plane to fly. It has little handlebars, kind of quirky, but it's fun. Last time I flew VFR, we don't fly VFR at the airlines, so it's been 18 years. Good evening, Mr. Rumsey. We have line bidding for now. They are trying to get PBS coming next year. Yeah, absolutely. When you get senior enough, even if you're not senior enough, bid conflict bidding. Ask your people, the captain you fly with, about conflict bidding. Basically, if you have a 4-day trip at the end of the month, when you bid lines, bid 4-day trips for the next month. So you have 8 days in a row. They pull you off flying and they pay you for it. Tips for CFI training. CFI training is a rodeo. It's a rodeo. It's a lot. It's a lot. You will feel confused and behind the entire time, and it's normal. Hey there, I'm in the A Cadet Academy. I have a conditional offer from PSA. Once I'm at mainline, how long would you estimate it take me to get up to 777? Mr. Oakley, depends. You know, I heard 3 or 4 years ago they thought they'd have new hires on the wide body by now. Didn't happen. Um, if you were to bid the first wide body 777 slot you can get, maybe 3 or 4 years. Here's what I was surprised by. So I was looking at the reserve list because I'm on reserve tomorrow, and I was shocked to see how senior I am now based on the numbers of people on reserve. Again, I'm number 9,050. Tomorrow, number 10,474 is also on reserve. They are 1,400 numbers junior to me and are able to hold Dallas 777. That's probably, I'm guessing, about a 5-year seniority or so. So, la 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 la. Least favorite trip to fly? Anywhere to Charlotte. I gotta turn my air conditioner on. It's getting hot in front of these lights. Anywhere to Charlotte or anything that right now. I mean, I'm in my current status. It'd be a London trip. But if I fly to Charlotte, I'd hate that too. I don't care for Charlotte Airport. It's a fine city. Nothing wrong with the city. Just don't care for the airport. Hey, from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Hey, okay, traveler. I like Tulsa, Oklahoma. They used to have what was it, Bob Denver. Oh, dang it, Bob Singer, jet plane. No, Bob Denver songs. Bob Denver lyrics in the Tulsa airport. And Tulsa downtown is a nice place to go to. Watching a YouTube video, and the pilot was doing a walk around, and the pilot said it walked perpendicular to the wheel instead of in a line. That's his thing. Can airline pilots bring their family members or friends in the cockpit while flying? No. Even again, my wife and I have been married 20 years. Doesn't matter. Even if we're on a flight or in cruise, and the captain says it's okay, which we never say if it's okay. No, only only working airline crew members are allowed on the flight deck. Period. But forward and after, yes. Why can't pilots have beards? Because the individual airlines say they can't. European airlines have beards. Some cargo pilots in the United States have beards. Frontier has beards, I think. Or Allegiant has beards. Many airlines say no. And that's why. Are y'all 777-200s Rolls-Royce or GE? Rolls-Royce. The 300 or GE. Just figured out. Flying the 172 right seat. Next comes actually learning to instruct. How do you approach memory of regulations, endorsements? You memorize CFR numbers. Simon, first, congratulations. And to answer your second question, I did not memorize anything. I learned how to look it up. It's not worth looking stuff up, especially for endorsements and regulations. Besides the basic flying regs, anything else, you look it up. It's not worth memorizing it and then getting it wrong and then having to fill out paperwork. Can 777 take off on its own? No. Do you ever see yourself renting an ASEL and doing some sightseeing Part 91? Winston, so I kind of did. Like, good Lord, it's been 12 years now. That's not 12 years, maybe 10, 11 years. I rented a Cirrus in Hawaii with an instructor and with my wife and kid around. As far as me renting a plane right now, no, I would get checked out in the 172 because I haven't flown one in over 15, 16, 18 years. So I'd pay for probably 5 hours in the 172. Let's type that 5 hours, maybe 3 hours in 172, just to get comfortable again. But I have no desire to do so. La 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 la. Sometimes I can't believe ATP had me do my CFI in 3 weeks. Didn't feel real after I passed. It is very quick. Do you personally know the number one pilot at your airline? Been there the longest? No, but I know number 2. I've flown with number 2 twice. Super nice guy. I don't know him personally, but I've flown with him twice. Getting ready to apply to the PSA Cadet program as a fresh Part 61 private pilot. Seems like a really good program. Tips or suggestions? Zach, I have none. All these cadet programs came around way after I started flying in the industry, so they're all new to me. and they're all different. Uh, but I'll just give you general life tips. Don't speed ever. Don't ever drink and drive ever. Like, here's how strict my wife and I are. And people call it overkill, and that's fine. If I have one beer, I will not drive my car, period. Even if I have a beer at 2 o'clock and I'm supposed to drive at 7 o'clock at night, no, not worth it. So don't drink and drive, get an Uber, and never speed. 'Cause any kind of driving infractions and citations, you have to report to your airline, and they do a driving history check on you. I know one guy, super nice guy. I learned to fly with him many years ago. Very smart guy. Hated wearing a seatbelt. He had like six tickets for no seatbelt. John Denver, thank you. Darren, would you ever think about getting back into aviation? No. Maybe you'll get a Charlotte overnight on 777 soon. Tyler, what's funny is, so right now I'm at 74 hours and 26 minutes of credit for the month toward reserve. I am good for an overnight. I can fly at most 85 hours of credit for the month. So if they give me an overnight here, that's a minimum of 10 hours and 30 minutes worth of credit, which would put me at 84 hours and 56 minutes of credit for the month, 4 minutes under the max. So they could, if they had an open trip for tomorrow, send me to Charlotte for the overnight. I hope it doesn't happen. I have a similar mindset as I approach the airlines, quality of life, commuting as little as possible. I will have to commute for a while to hold a seat. Mainline in Seattle, what do you think? Short-term pain, long-term gain. Because again, Simon, we all have lives, right? You might have a great social situation going on wherever you live. Maybe you have a spouse or your family, you have family around. Like Darren, listen, I live in Albany, Oregon, and I love Albany, Oregon. My whole family's there. My wife's there. Whatever. I don't want to uproot myself to Seattle if I know I can be based in Portland for a little while and drive to work. But short-term pain for long-term gain is fine. Different is if you live in Des Moines, Iowa, and you'll have to commute for your whole life. That's a discussion you need to have with your family, and if you have a spouse, with your spouse. This career will destroy your family if you let it. This career will destroy your family if you let it. If your spouse does not, or even your family, does not support you in this career can destroy it all. Because you will, especially in the beginning, you will miss stuff. It's not ideal, but you will. Or even just the jealousy, right, of you being gone more. Again, West Coast on the Airbus in the wintertime, I purposely bid overnights in Bermuda, Aruba, St. Lucia, St. Martin, all over the islands, right? Punta Cana. I'll be on these resorts for 24 hours, basking in the sun, getting my tan on, while my wife is at home in frozen Dallas with our two crazy kids. Thankfully, she supports this career because otherwise it could be really ugly. Is it better to train dual engine with complex and high power endorsements to 1,500 hours to stand out from other applicants? No, unless it's free. If it's free 99, yeah. Otherwise, train in the safest and most inexpensive aircraft you can. And Aaron, how do airlines audit your logbook when you hit the airlines or paying a gig in general? Has it changed from all when you were first hired? So, Mr. Morrow, there is a logbook audit. So when I got hired here, they did go through my logbook, and it's just they go through it, and I don't know what the process is. I know they go through it and they make sure it all makes sense. I didn't falsify anything. But they go through everything, and you should be very careful making sure your logbook is accurate, because people get caught what's called pencil whipping the logbook. They'll put in tail numbers of planes that they never flew. And you never know, the person who's auditing your logbook might say, okay, he flew his plane on June 17th of 2019. They might look up the history of that dang tail number and see that it crashed 5 months prior and was written off. But you said you flew it in June, right? So they want to make sure it makes sense. And if you have any gaps, be able to explain them. If you have any weird flights. Like you flew a 172 for 300 hours, and then you flew a Citation for 20 hours. Explain how that happened. La 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 la. If you get a private plane, get a DA-62? No. Is there anything about the operating the aircraft you think is easy, but it's actually quite hard, complicated? La, la, la. It's a change. Like whenever I got on the Boeing, I kept screwing up the takeoff performance stuff because on the Airbus, you could change a number and it would keep everything else. On the Boeing, if I go in and if I put in the weights, if I put in the weights, a weight change before takeoff speeds, it deletes takeoff speeds. Right? So no. Yeah. So what I have to do is first put in takeoff speeds and then performance. It's one or the other, but I kept screwing it up. I would be taxing out. I'm like, God dang it. And I have to redo the numbers real quick. Learning the box can be a challenge. Again, I've flown 6 different types of planes. They each have a different kind of FMS, the MCDU thing. They all have their quirks and features. And just learning the quirks of that box can be a lot. You know, pilots, we do fly the airplane. Even when the autopilot's on, planes are not autonomous, so it's garbage in, garbage out. If I put in crap into the box, it'll fly like crap or won't fly at all. So you have to really understand how to manage the flight through either by flying it or, most importantly, the box. Just don't get a DUI. Practice generic interview questions. Be excited. That's about it. If they have your space, it's cool. Thank you, Simon. Have the recent federal actions regarding immigration had any effect on my airline? No. And I don't talk politics. Did you ever think about flying for FedEx UPS? I did not, Luke. I always want to fly people, not boxes. Nothing wrong with flying boxes. I have friends who do cargo, and they love cargo. And that works for them. Cool. For me, it was always flying people. One reason is, as a passenger airline pilot, my wife and kids get unlimited free flights. I flew for FedEx UPS. They don't get free flights, period. Do the Rolls-Royce engines feel any underpowered compared to the GE90 and 777? No, they feel, because they're still right powered, right? If anything, the 300 needs a bigger wing. The 300 has lots of power, but it's wing limited, getting higher. And do they keep track of your flight hours so that your airline doesn't cut short or underpay you so they profit? Look, great question. And so I can always audit my own pay, but my union has a handy dandy app that I can click on, and it shows me all of my pay, what I should be paid, what I have been paid. It's called pay auditing. And every now and then I'll say, hey, this could be an issue. You haven't been paid for this yet, but it's always been caught up. Every now and then they do make mistakes, and it's not them trying to short me anything. It's just airline pay is very complicated, especially when reassignments happen. You know, keeping it super simple, I'm supposed to fly from Dallas to LaGuardia back to Dallas on the Airbus. Let's call that a 6.5-hour round trip. Storms were happening in Dallas. They reassigned me to fly Dallas to Austin back to Dallas. That's a 2-hour round trip. They're supposed to pay me for my LaGuardia turn, even though I'm only doing the Austin turn. And sometimes stuff gets mamble-jambled, and they pay me for my Austin turn and not my LaGuardia turn. But there is no limitation on finding pay errors. They always, they always fix it right away. Yep. Anything other than inputting the wins with the takeoff speeds? Thank you, United Pilot. Do you ever feel guilty about bidding Bermuda? The jealousy of your spouse is 100% justified. If you're at home dealing with kids, I imagine my fiance would want the best trip for me with best pay. I never felt guilty because it's part of my job. I don't know. Actually, I wouldn't bid bad trips just because I don't want my wife to feel jealous. But I also wouldn't call her from the beach. So whenever I was in Bermuda or Aruba, I would FaceTime her from the hotel room with a white wall behind me. Because if you have kids, you understand. I don't want to call my wife and especially FaceTime nowadays. When I first started flying, we didn't have FaceTime. But call my wife and see my now 8-year-old in the background screaming bloody murder because she's crazy. And my wife's like, oh, you're on the beach. Must be freaking nice. So, yeah. If you decide to become an Airbus captain, how will your seniority work? Would you start at the bottom of the Airbus captain list, or is it based off seniority at your airline? Mr. Harrison, great question. It is at the seniority at my airline. Very quick example. Let's say I just sit in the right seat of a 777 for the next 10 years. And then I'm like, all right, I want to fly the Airbus again. I go to Airbus captain, and I could be the number one Airbus captain. If my seniority was the top person, I'm the top Airbus captain. It won't be, but it's wherever my seniority number slots in. You say there are no silly questions, so why can't a 777 not have a Garmin 1000 for avionics or similar and make it simpler? Great question. One is cost. The Garmin setup costs a lot more money than the Boeing 777 setup, right? When airliners are made, they're made in a time capsule. So whatever the best technology is at the time, because again, the 777 was made in when? In the 90s. Probably they started in the 80s. So the technology of the 777 is based on whatever they had back then. And only small things can be added to it without having giant structural and software changes, because there's so many different software buses going on in the airplane. Versus general aviation, you don't have that many systems that are intertwined, so to speak, versus the 777. So they can update stuff, and they could have an STC. I hate loud cars. Wow. They could have a if they wanted to, they could put in a G1000. You'd have to go to the FAA and get it certified. It costs more money than it's worth. It'd be neat because again, general aviation has way more technology than we have in the airlines. But no, the newer, the 787 has newer avionics than the 777, and the Airbus 350 has even newer avionics than the Airbus 320. Even brand new Airbus 321 Neos coming off the assembly line today have 1980s technology on the software. I was wondering, in your last video, you said you get your V-speeds from dispatch. How do they calculate that? Do they have a rough weight on each passenger and the bags, or they use average weight? I believe they use average passenger weight and actual bag weight at this airline, but don't quote me on that. I know for cargo, they use actual bag. We carry a lot of cargo on 777. But yeah, they use, I think it's average passenger weight. It goes up and down depending on the season. And then the bags are weighed, and then actual cargo weight. I know my old airline, it was very funny. At regionals, like 15 years ago, if you find a small regional jet like a Embraer 145, they don't have carry-on bags. They have valet bags. Most carry-on bags don't fit in the overhead bins. But if you had a small bag, it could fit in the overhead bin. Well, sometimes you might valet a small bag. Valet means you leave the plane next to the plane. You leave your bag next to the airplane. It gets loaded in the cargo bin. And then when you get to your destination, they put it next to the plane. You pick it up and you go on your way. Well, every now and then we'd be like 100 pounds or 200 pounds overweight, 200 pounds overweight. And they say, hold on, let's look at all those valet bags. Let's take those 4 valet bags, because they're pretty small, and put them in the cabin. Hey, look, we're underweight now. Or, I think those 3 passengers are kids. A kid weighs half an adult. Hey, look, we're underweight now. Aviation is doing all these calculations and then taking that number and marking it on a piece of paper with a very fine tipped pen. That is the number. Then taking a hatchet and cutting that same marking. La 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 la. Hey Darren, thank you for your videos. Do you need to get an eSIM for each country you go to? Do you rely on public Wi-Fi wherever you go? Mr. McLean, great question. I use T-Mobile as my primary provider for my iPhone. I do carry an Android phone as well. For Android, I have a eSIM for Europe, and I have one for the United States. And then if I go to like Asia, then I use just my T-Mobile phone, and my Android phone uses Wi-Fi. Hey, look, I'm in Vegas right now for a TDY. Aha. Hey, Darren, would you say having no check ride failures up to MEI, 500 night cross-country hours, and a college degree make you competitive in today's market? It sounds good, but again, I don't work in hiring. hardest thing you had to learn in your initial airline training: flows and profiles. What the hell's a profile? You know, and it's just a speech. Like we all have a hold on. We all have a movie that we love, and we all can probably recite an entire scene from a movie. That is a profile. It's a the captain and I say certain words at certain times, at certain events, and knowing what to say and when to say it, and what to do and when to do it. That was new to me. What are the odds of a double engine failure on 777 over the ocean outside of gliding distance to the alternate? Mr. Cole, I have no idea. I am not a mathematician, but it's never happened. I think they had one dual engine failure on the 777 on British Airways going into Heathrow many years ago. It was a systems issue, but engines are stupid reliable, and there's so many fault tolerances on board, and there's so many backups on board, and engines can operate in all these conditions. Yeah. Hey, Darren, at what point in an aircraft's design do you go from needing just a private license to type rating? I believe it has to, if it weighs more than 12,500 pounds or is a turbojet, but that could be, I could be wrong on that one. Are you allowed to land in a hostile country like Russia or North Korea in an emergency? Yes. Do you consider flight simming as a hobby useful at all to pilot skills? There is. I think, especially for your instrument rating. Yeah. And I still use flight sim at home. When I get bored, I'll fire a 777 or Airbus around. One, to stay fresh on what a 777 is like, because I don't fly that much. And then two, just to have fun. Favorite hotel chain? I'm a Marriott guy. Is your secondary flight plan typically loaded with an engine out SID? It depends on the airport, Mr. Sardo. But generally speaking, if it's a high terrain airport, yes, there is an engine out SID. Hi there, my wife and I love you watching your videos. Thank you. How's Rivian still treating you? Hey, Mr. McLaughlin. McLaughlin? Dan. Rivian is doing very well. I'm probably make a 2-month update here in a week or so. Had one service call. It was there were 2 factory defects. The center USB ports were not plugged in when they built the dang thing, and the old-fashioned FM radio didn't work. They fixed both of those. It's been rock solid. They've had a couple of software updates. They made the car ride a lot smoother, and it sounded a lot better as far as the audio goes. I am debating buying running boards because my 5'3" wife has a little bit of problem getting in the car every now and then. My kids have no problem, but my she gets a little annoyed every now and then. I'm so happy with my car, though. And thank you for your support, Mr. Dan. Do the majors prefer Part 121 more than 135? I don't know. I'm not on the hiring board, but I'll tell you this: the person next to me at my new hire class here was a corporate pilot. All they did was Part 135. Is it a requirement to watch or have seen the movie Airplane before getting your PPL? I think it is. Hey, Darren, when you're doing an oceanic crossing, do you guys use HF or CPDLC for ATC comms? Yes, both. Primary is CPDLC. We use HF radios at the beginning of every single sector. Pokemon Go? No. The only way to stop a GE is to deprive it of fuel. British Airways 38, that was a good air crashing investigation. Thank you, Tyler. I watched that video. Sometimes a charm like Sarah McLachlan. Aha! I love Sarah McLachlan. I saw her in concert like 3 or 4 times as a kid. I was a teenager anyway. Fumbling towards ecstasy. Hey, Darren, have you ended up liking the 777 more than you thought you would? Has the idea of going back to Airbus become less and less of a thing to you? So, Mr. Gunter, no. The 777 is fine. I am content with it. I much prefer the Airbus, but I'm not going anywhere. You know, it's like and dislikes, and my likes are more than my dislikes. So I like the lifestyle it gives me as far as the time off. I like the trips I do, one leg in, one leg out, one leg in. And it's a fine plane to fly, but I do miss the Airbus. Thoughts on the EV Silverado? I think it's better than the F-150. It's more expensive, but has a bigger battery. It's a double-edged sword, I guess, because the F-150 I think is a more everyday truck. If you're gonna do normal what most people do with the truck every day. It's just haul air around. It's cheaper. But if you want to actually tow something, the Silverado battery is such a ginormous battery that you can haul your boat 150 miles to the lake, drop it in, go plug it in. While you're out in the lake, if it fills up, go get your truck, haul your boat out of the lake, and drive 150 miles home. And the F-150, you couldn't do that because the battery is much smaller. Um, but the F-150 is cheaper, but I think the Silverado is an overall better truck. Thank you for doing this. I love videos. You're a great inspiration. Thank you very much, Mr. Sardo. How fast can you exit on a high-speed taxi? Very rare to go over 60 knots. 60 knots is pretty, especially in the 777's hauling butt. That's about 75 miles an hour. Almost done with the live. My voice is going out, and I've been live for 50 minutes. Yeah, that's my limit. Hey, Darren, curious, are any of your kids interested in aviation? Are they interested in becoming a pilot like you one day? Zero desire. My 14-year-old has never wanted to be a pilot, and my 8-year-old, same. Do you prefer DFW north or south flow landing? I presume north is more common. Thanks. I prefer south because most of our flights come in from the north. So we're coming in from the north, come in and land. Now, when we take off, we have to take off and then turn around and, we take off to the south and turn around. But I much prefer south flow. And generally speaking, we land south in the summer and north in the winter. Why? Because when it's hot, winds come out of the south. When it's cold, winds come out of the north. Any tips for first people check ride? I'm full-time office worker. Have been training for 8 months, 80 hours total. Have been met. Jitters are getting to me, but I'm excited. So James, yeah, so office worker. I'm guessing you're a little bit older. You're not like 20 years old, so you know how to get stuff done, right? When you think you're ready for your PPL, again, go through your POH every single day for like 2 weeks before your private pilot. Go through the ACS so you really know what's expected of you. And when you're going through the ACS, anything you don't understand, ask your CFI. And understand on your check ride, you will make stupid mistakes. And as a pilot, we all want to be perfect. We all want to have butter landings, awesome radio calls, and smooth turns and flights. But you're going to have a crappy landing. You'll make a dumb bonehead radio call, and you'll be bouncing around in, light turbulence. And it's fine. I have never had a perfect check ride. Being a pilot and checking events are not about being perfect. It's about being proficient and safe. Emergency scenario you feel most comfortable with? All of them. I'm not being funny or macho. I'm not worried about an emergency. There's checklists for that, and there's so many procedures and so many redundancies. Yeah. I had a jump seat on 737 Airbus last week, commuting to and from work. I thought I would be a Boeing guy, but the Airbus has become my new love, Mr. Taylor. Yeah. So I got to jump seat on a 737 MAX coming back from California. My first time ever in a flight deck on a MAX. I was like, man, guys, I love your big screens up there. Those are nice. And then I looked up, and it's just, no thank you. And the seat was it was not very comfortable. It's build your own jump seat. No. And that damn wheel. What age did you start flight training? 29. And what age did you become a pilot for an airline? 30. Based on your age and your years in the industry, I'm guessing, did you do a career change at some point? I did, Mr. Heath. So I went to college initially to be a school teacher, high school teacher. I was interning in East Texas, and I realized that kids changed, and I don't want to teach. But I was always a computer geek. So I got my degree in journalism and a double major in sociology, and went into the IT field. I worked for Time Warner Cable in Houston with their level 3 help desk. And then I chased a woman to Dallas, not my wife, and I taught computer repair at a community college. Got laid off right before 9/11, and then I got a temporary job as a computer repairman for NCR for 4 years. Temporary job. And I was lying on the floor of a 7-Eleven at 2 in the morning, and I realized this is not where I need to be. So then I got a white-collar job doing software for gas stations. I mean, a software, they made retail software. here in Arlington. Uh, and I said, hey, I have a white collar job now, but now I'm in a cubicle. And for the 4 years before that, I was a repairman out in the field. And now I'm in a cubicle in the basement in Arlington. And I realized I had made a horrible life mistake. And I would come home from work and I play my flight sim every day. And my wife saw I was happy doing that. She said, you need to either go be a pilot or find a new career because it's not working out for you. Hey there, last question. Can the pilot of a flight upgrade their family to business? Nope. That is not possible. It has to be a bag agent. That's stealing. Does anyone know you could mean something? Does knowing you could mean something in the interview with AA? Oh, does knowing me? No, I'm no one. I am absolutely no one here. No. In fact, I would not tell anyone that you know me. Because they'd be like, you know that guy. He's crazy. Just kidding. Career 2.0. James, you're good. Hey, Darren. How do you best suggest prepare for new hire training at the first airline? Mr. Rigby, wrap up everything in your personal life. If you have anything like you need to tell your friends and family, hey, I made it. I'm gonna start my first day at my dream career soon. It's gonna be a lot of stress. So for the next 2 months, I'm gonna be here, but not here. So if you don't hear from me, it's okay. And I promise in 2 months I'll be better, but I'm gonna be out of the loop for a little while. And if your spouse doesn't support you in this, it sucks, but it's better if they don't support you 100%, cut it now because it's not gonna get any better. If your family doesn't support you, then say, "Hey, I'm sorry you guys don't support me," and just cut them off for a while and come back to them. Uh, and I say that because when you're in NDOC training, indoctrination, the airline, it's a lot of stuff coming at you at once. A lot of foreign terms and weird stuff coming at you at once. It's a lot of stress. You're at your dream job, and it's a lot, and you will feel overwhelmed. And you don't need outside stuff adding on to that. If you have a rocky relationship, it will not get any better. And by them distracting you, could destroy your dream job. Yeah. And I'm not trying to be cold, but it is what it is. La 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 la. What plane would you choose to fly if you could fly any plane? Embraer 140. If I could fly any plane for the rest of my career and get paid what get paid now, Embraer 145. I'm on the 175 is actually a lot like the Airbus. It's like the Airbus. 175 is easier than the Airbus. No, I think the Airbus is easier than 175 because the Airbus auto trims. I pitch back, let go, the plane stays. Hey Darren, just curious, did you do I did all my CFI, II, and MEI. Yep. Last one, does your airline have rules about blogging or taking video while you're flying? Mr. Booth, absolutely. In fact, I have to turn off all my electronics, including my fancy glasses I wear every now and then, 10 minutes before departure. So 10 minutes before departure, phone goes off. If I'm wearing my glasses, I have video. I actually take them off and put my normal glasses on. And that's it, period. I can't ever film myself actually doing any work. And that is so loosely defined. I can't film myself, of course, not doing a walk around, loading the box, nothing. So there is never any filming in flight. And other people do it. They don't work where I work. And I will never ask permission to do it. It's not worth it to me. And with that, anything I like about the Boeing more than the Airbus? No. Airbus makes sense. My name is Darren. I'm a dad. I'm an airline pilot. I'm a husband of a scientist. I make videos on average once a week on Thursdays. Every now and then there might be 2 videos in the week. I go live randomly. I'd appreciate you if you subscribe. If you want to know when I go live, click the notification bell. Have a great day. And as always, thank you for stopping by. And I truly appreciate your support. Thank you. Boo! And mouse comes over and end.